You have found SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Tuesday, March 3rd, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. The Chiefs are a month into their most interesting offseason in years. So many decisions to make with free agents and other players. We've been hearing about the narrow salary cap space for the Chiefs in 2020 and how that'll make things difficult to bring back star players like Chris Jones. But now there's some speculation that the salary cap for 2021 could increase to as much as $240 million. That would give the Chiefs enough space to sign Jones in addition to giving quarterback Patrick Mahomes his impending big contract. Star columnist Sam Mellinger stops by to talk about this development and other Chiefs-related topics. After a break, Sam sticks around to talk Kansas basketball. The Jayhawks go into the week as the nation's top team in every poll, measure, or category. What makes these Jayhawks so formidable? We talk about it. So here we go on SportsBeat KC. So did you know that yesterday was the 1-month anniversary of the Chiefs' Super Bowl victory?
Yeah, you know what? Your boss and my boss, Jeff Rosen, just mentioned that yesterday, and it just sort of like, huh? Really? It feels like it was like a week and a half ago.
Did you get the Chiefs anything? What do you get a team for the 1-month Super Bowl anniversary?
Yeah, well, there have been a lot of presents given to people in and around Kansas City in the last month. I know that.
Some of them generated right here in this office.
That's right. Damn straight.
Yeah, we saw some nice framed covers and newspaper. It was nice to see, and they're pretty cool to have. If you don't have one, public service announcement. If you don't have one, still can get one, and the book. The book is out here soon. Yeah. So anyway, so it's a month after the Super Bowl, and whether the Chiefs played in or won the Super Bowl doesn't change this timetable. That we are finished with the NFL Combine. Our Combine Warriors, Sam McDowell and Herbie Teope are back, and we're going to enter into the free agency period. But I wanted to ask you about this kind of new little wrinkle and how it might affect the Chiefs with the collective bargaining agreement that could increase the salary cap, not by a little bit, but by a bunch. And I was struck by that. I guess I didn't realize that this was part of the negotiation, that for 2021, the salary cap could go as high as $240 million per team. And from where it is now, which is less than $200 million.
Yeah, so the projection is about 200 for 2020.
Okay.
Last year it was, I think, 189 or 190 or something. It's been about 10 million. It's been about, I think $8 to $12 million that it goes up every year. And it's just sort of been, you set your clock by it almost.
So if this indeed happens, I can't think of a team that would welcome the news more. Every team would stand to benefit from this.
Sure.
But the now defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs might have an advantage that they don't have at this very moment.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. The timing is, you and I are both old enough to remember when the Chiefs got bad breaks all the time. Like they couldn't wake up on a Tuesday without getting some unforced error. And now it just seems like everything is turning up Chiefs, they lose to Tennessee, and that, lets them get Terrell Suggs and still get the bye and all these other things. And, now the salary cap could go up. What would that be, 20% in a year when it's been going up, basically, 5%? That's a huge jump. Now, look, and you just mentioned it, you just referenced it. They're not the only ones with the extra cash. There's 31 other teams, too, that'll have more money to spend. But the timing is exceptional, particularly with Chris Jones. I think no matter what the salary cap is, the quarterback's going to get paid. He's going to get a contract. But with Chris Jones, and I believe this with everything in my heart, it's more than an educated guess, I should say, Chris Jones is not going to take less than what he thinks his full market value is.
I don't think he should.
No, absolutely he shouldn't.
No, he's been kind of a model citizen when it comes to his predicament or his situation.
He's not the only one to handle that general situation well, but nobody's handled it better. You could not possibly handle it better than he did. So he's earned. I hope he gets every penny he's looking for plus 10%. But I don't know that the Chiefs could have, practically. I mean, technically they could have paid him what he wants. And, they just would have had to have a roster full of minimum wage, the NFL's version of minimum wage workers anyway. But now I think they can get closer to that and maybe get there. And, you can, especially if the contract, if they rip up the franchise tag and the contract starts now, they can move the money around a little bit better. And you can give, Chris Jones might be able to look at, say, and I'm just making up numbers here, so don't hold me to it at all, but a 4-year contract with $80 million in guarantees, something like that. That might be better now than a 4-year contract next year that would have 85 million or 90 or whatever. Right. Just, money now is more valuable than money later. So they've got a window. They've got a window here. And plus, they're going to redo, they're going to cut or redo Sammy Watkins, Alex Okafor, one of the quarterbacks that they were paying, I think 2 to 3.5.
Matt Moore. Henne would have been.
Well, Henne and yeah.
Moore,
so one of there's a lot of little moves like that they can make, and they gosh dang, like they might be able to keep Chris Jones after all this.
And the cornerback situation.
Yeah, they got some work to do there.
Yeah. It's almost like to be quite cliche about it, the Chiefs can have their cake and eat it too, perhaps.
yeah.
With this, I want to get back to Chris Jones.
Yeah.
In addition to handling his business the way in an ideal fashion.
Yeah.
And his exceptional talent. They don't win the Super Bowl without him.
For sure.
He is, I think, a terrific presence in the locker room.
Yeah.
And I think he is a great spokesman for the Chiefs and represents the Chiefs well in charities. He's big in the Special Olympics. And I've mentioned this before, that I was with him in an appearance at the Special Olympics. And if he's going through the motions, he does it as well as any human being I've ever seen. He was really into it. So, listen, we all understand that the NFL, more than any other sport, is a cold, hard business.
Uh-huh.
And it's all about the way one of the reasons the NFL is as great as it is the competitive balance, and every team starts evenly, at the beginning of the year financially and in other ways. But I'll tell you what, this really could be an example of rich getting richer if this happens, if the salary cap is increased and the Chiefs can keep, in addition to Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, maybe Bashard Breeland, maybe Kendall Fuller, Sammy Watkins at a reduced rate. I mean, I don't know what the shopping list is for the Chiefs. I don't know what the priority is. Brett Veach didn't share as much at the Combine last week, but all those guys are contributed to a Super Bowl victory, some in pretty significant ways.
Yeah, there's no way to measure this specifically, but one of the reasons and I don't think I was the first one to think of this. I think I heard it from somebody of the term, like, that Patrick Mahomes is a force multiplier. And one of the ways is that he creates not just the winning, right, which is the most important thing, but he is an exceptional teammate and an exceptional, way better leader of grown men than a person should be at 23 and now 24 years old. Unanimous respect and all those things, and he makes it fun. And I think that, look, everybody wants to get paid, and nobody's taking a 30% pay cut to come play with Patty Mahomes. Like, it's not this isn't fantasy world. But I do think that guys are willing to stretch a little bit, work a little bit harder to make it work to play in Kansas City than they would be another team. Certainly than they were the Chiefs 5 years ago, even when they had a good team, you know what I mean? But it wasn't this. I mean, this is, what the Patriots have been. This is what, other sort of glamour the Seahawks were at one point. I mean, this is a team that guys want to play for. And again, they're not going to take millions less or anything like that, but it is a fun atmosphere, and it is a place I think people want to target. There's another side of this though too, right? That sort of success comes with a price, right? And, so some of these guys, there's a Super Bowl shine on free agents. You know what I mean? Like, from both sides. I think players are like, man, I just won a championship. Time to go get paid. And I think there's other teams that look at, man, that guy won a championship. We want some of that here.
Can bring that, championship pedigree to our locker room.
And I wonder if that's going to be like, I think Bashaud Breeland is a candidate to have like sort of a Super Bowl shine contract. You know, I can see him getting 3 years, 32 or something like that, and you know that somebody's paying a little bit of a, you know, some extra airport prices, you know, to get that guy. But Kendall Fuller's really interesting. Charvarius Ward is eligible for an extension. The Chiefs control him for a few more years, but he's eligible for an extension now. You know, they've got some interesting decisions in that secondary. Juan Thornhill, you know, I don't know what his timetable is exactly. I don't think anybody can know that for a few more months. But you know, they might have to do something at safety. You know, they've got some moving parts.
A couple other ones that what you just said occurred to me. Demarcus Robinson may be another one of those who might get an increased value contract somewhere else. Yeah. And I think Travis Kelce is someone that they might have to take a look at restructuring.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To get him in line with he needs to continue to be among, if not the highest paid tight end in the NFL. Chiefs have. We were talking about this yesterday. How many players the Chiefs have that you can make a case for are the best at their position in the NFL? No worse than 3. You know, top 3, and you know, and if those guys are on veteran contracts, they want to be paid.
Yeah, I mean, who like the quarterback, the right tackle,
the tight end, the number 1 wideout.
Yep. Tyrann Mathieu.
The safety. Those are the 5 I think that we think about.
Yeah, and you can't really do it with Chris Jones because, you know, you got Aaron Donald who exists. But yeah, I mean, and all those guys deserve money, you know. And Joel Corey, who's terrific at what, you know, he knows contracts in and out, and has been really helpful to me. You know, just helping me understand contracts. He pointed this out. At least he's the first one that I saw pointed out that the tight end market has been pretty stagnant for several years, and that it's due for a bump. And Zach Ertz and George Kittle being eligible for extensions is a good time for a bump.
Yeah.
And, you know, once that happens, Kelce signed that deal. I think this was the 3rd year that he played under that deal?
I want to say that. I should have looked it up, but I think you're right.
So he's played enough of that contract to, you know, to be a guy that goes and says, look, man, I deserve more money, and to be able to expect the team to say, yeah, we're gonna try and help you out if you can. You know, Chiefs are under no obligation to do that, obviously, but then you might get into a whole lot, you know, all that other stuff. But yeah, he's due for a raise as well.
All right. So if nothing else, the possibility of the increased salary cap changes the outlook and the dynamic of the 2020 Chiefs.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
There's another NFL topic I wanted to ask you about, and this certainly picked up steam at the combine simply because you've got everybody in one place, right? Prospects, coaches, general managers, agents, and a lot of media. Think about this: quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks that won't be with the teams that they've spent a long time with, right? Yeah. We know about Phillip Rivers, you know, but I'm going to move on. Tom Brady, possibly. Right. Jameis Winston, possibly. Yeah. Cam Newton, perhaps. So I started to think about that. And there are others. Andy Dalton, you know, there's some others. But I looked at the Chiefs' schedule for next year. Oh, yeah. I count 8 games against teams that are probably going to have – that could have different starting quarterbacks. 2 with the Chargers, right? 2 with the Raiders if Brady ends up in Las Vegas and it's not Derek Carr. The Patriots if Brady moves to Vegas. The Dolphins will have you know, the Bucks if they move from Winston and Cam Newton with the Panthers are on the schedule. Yeah. 8 strikes me as an unusually high number for teams with quarterbacks who have been Pro Bowl players, All-Pro players, Super Bowl winners, Super Bowl participants. Yeah. Talk about things coming up Chiefs these days.
Right.
Now, okay, so the teams that we're pretty sure are locked in on their quarterbacks for next year, the Bills, the Broncos with Drew Lock, right, twice, the Jets, Falcons, Saints, and, of course, the Ravens and the Texans. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's 8 new possibility of 8 teams or 8 games on the 2020 schedule starting a quarterback, a different quarterback. So trying to learn a new system, trying to get along with new coach, new coordinator. advantage Chiefs.
Yeah. Plus, they'll have the more talented roster in basically all these games. So, I mean, the Raiders are interesting. Just, I think it was Mina Kimes that I heard make this point the first time about, Derek Carr's not. It's one of those, like, people call it, like, QB purgatory, right? Like, he's not terrible, but he's not good enough that you're excited about. But she just made the point that it wouldn't make sense for the Raiders to walk away from Carr to sign one of these free agents, because he's as good or better than these other guys at this point, and he's on a team-friendly contract. But drafting a quarterback is a whole different
thing, isn't it?
And they are among the teams that are, it doesn't sound like the Bengals are looking to do anything but draft Joe Burrow.
Right.
But,
and the Dolphins, if Tua's there, will take Tua, unless the Lions sneak up and get him at 3.
Yeah, and somebody might reach up for Herbert or who's the kid from Utah State?
Not Love.
Love. Who's gotten some weird Patrick Mahomes comparisons, like
very weird.
This stuff is. I was thinking about this earlier today, like everybody's the next Patrick Mahomes now, right? Like Sam McDowell did that. You remember that story he did with the high school kids, like all doing like no look passes. But again, you and I are both old enough to remember when Patrick Mahomes was getting the Brett Favre comparisons,
That's right.
And turns out he is Brett Favre, just with more athleticism.
Without the interceptions.
Takes care of the ball, listens to his coaches. Like there's all kinds of advantages that he brings. It is wild, man. It is all turning up cheese for about a couple of years now.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little college basketball. Hey, it's Blair. Hey, we have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns we have to offer. And it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. For your convenience, your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. A lot of subscription services won't tell you that. They'll just sneak it on there. We just told you. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. Back with Sam Mellinger. All right, Sam. I've got KU as not only the polls were out on Monday, and Kansas was the unanimous number 1 in the media and the coaches poll. They are by far the top-ranked team in KenPom. They are the number 1 team in the net, which is the new tool that the committee uses to measure team strength. In the old RPI, they're by far the number 1 team. Schedule strength, by far the number 1 team. How's it going to blow up in their face?
Right. They are like really well positioned to take advantage of what I think most people in college basketball would say is a down year. There's just, if you look at, and this is a crude way to do it, I guess, but if you look at the lottery picks, projected lottery picks, there's not a lot that are playing for top 10 teams.
Not only not playing for top 10 teams, but who won't be in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
there are a lot of Euros, a lot of European players, but also players for teams like Edwards from Georgia, whose team will not be in the NCAA tournament.
Edwards, a lot of James Wiseman's.
Yes.
There's just it's a weird season in that way. There's not, you can almost count on Duke, Carolina, or Kentucky having 3 lottery picks.
Yeah.
One of those teams, and that's obviously not the case this year.
But even KU doesn't have lottery picks.
Yeah, and what they do have, and part of why they're well positioned right now, is they've got 2 absolute studs. I mean, Devon Dotson, he'll be the Big 12 Player of the Year, right?
Yes, I'm convinced of that.
He's
especially after Saturday.
Yeah.
K-State win.
And he's going to have a case for National Player of the Year. Udoka Azubuike is going to have a really good case for first-team All-America. Marcus Garrett is good of a college defender my God, he's good. If Agbaji has a hot weekend, and he puts up 16 in the one round and 19, they're going to be a really tough team to beat. They also defend like mothers, and that can travel. I think you worry sometimes if your team relies a ton on 3-point shooting. It could be super dangerous, but what happens if you go 3 for 20 on a day? It can shoot you. But I think about this a lot, that Kansas made, I think it was 3 of 13 3-pointers in Waco. They only went to the line 10 times, and they beat the number 2, at the time team in that is on the road. That is as impressive a win to me as
it's as impressive a win as any team had in the country this year for sure.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. This team, and I know it's been several years, but this team reminds me a little bit of the 2012 team with Thomas Robinson and Tyshawn Taylor, Elijah Johnson, and Travis Rutherford. The reason it does is because that team, you remember Tyshawn Taylor didn't make a 3-pointer in the NCAA tournament until the championship game against Kentucky.
Yeah.
He was 0 for 25, something. It was ridiculous. And Kansas wasn't a great shooting team, and they were always around 40% from the field. And Thomas Robinson didn't have a good offensive series in the NCAA tournament, even though he was Big 12 Player of the Year. But that team just grinded you down and just beat you, and you couldn't score on them. I just remember them handling North Carolina in the regional final, and then Ohio State in the national semifinal, because those teams could not score against Kansas. And that's what I see with this team. Saturday, they were kind of in trouble at Kansas State. Playing against a team that I thought basically this was it. Kind of one last hurrah for Kansas State in a miserable season. They'll hold their own against their big rival, and they did that. But when it was crunch time, basically Kansas State stopped scoring, and Kansas, it was just like you're not scoring on us. And KU overcame a deficit and ended up winning it, not comfortably, but got away with one. A game in which I think Dotson, with 25 of the team's whatever it was, 64 points. I think if anybody didn't think he was Big 12 Player of the Year, left that game thinking, no, that's the guy, because Doak hurt his ankle and didn't play much.
Another reason I like that comparison to that 2012 team is that's the team that ended up losing to a team full of freaks in Kentucky in the national championship game. That's one of the best 5 or 10 college teams that I can remember in my lifetime.
Gosh. It may be of the decade.
So good.
That Kentucky team in 15 that didn't win the championship was fantastic, but that 2012 team with Anthony Davis. And Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
And he went number 2 in the draft, right?
The guy who beat him was Deron Lamb, right? Remember the big scoring night against KU?
Yeah. Was he the senior? Was he the guy? Yeah. I remember there was a number that Final Four weekend. I remember seeing a number. He had something like 54 teammates at Kentucky, something like that. It was great. But my point is that 2012 Kansas team, if you could just take them in a time machine and put them here this season, they might be a national title favorite, because the reason they didn't win the national championship, they were number 2 seed that year, right? But they got to the national championship and played this, one of these kind of
generational type.
And that team doesn't exist now. And I just think that pathway, look, it wouldn't be shocking at all if Kansas or Baylor or both lost well before the Final Four, right? Like college basketball, whatever. But they're just really if you were just going to bet on a team, I think you could do a hell of a lot worse than a team with a Hall of Fame coach, a point guard who's a stud, a rim protector that few teams have, and that just plays defense as well as Kansas does. That's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, it is. And I think one thing that kind of gets not overlooked but not talked about much is we talked about Garrett as a terrific defensive player, and Devon Dotson. I think maybe Garrett's passed him, but for most of the year, Dotson was leading the Big 12 in steals, not Garrett. But Ochai, these are long arm wing type players he and Garrett just make things difficult for opponents with their length.
Their
defense. We talk about offensive mismatches. Sometimes Kansas has defensive mismatches.
That's right. They're really good too. I mean, individually they're gifted and they're locked in. They try all those things. But they're also really smart defensively. The way they defend screens, Jesse Newell was just talking. They're switching a lot more. I mean, they're playing really good team defense. I mean, you can have a really good defensive team just if you have 5 good defenders on the floor. But Kansas has that, maybe 4, right? But they've got really good individual defenders, but they also play really well together.
Okay, so I think you're heading out Wednesday to see KU TCU.
I think so. Yeah, soft plan. You know? Yeah. It's been weird. I haven't really been. I mean, I've been watching on TV, but I haven't been to as many games as I would have liked. The
Chiefs,
frickin' Mahomes.
Mahomes changed the dynamic for all of us. Okay, if you're out there, I'll see you out there.
Yeah, man.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our production team of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Also, thanks to Sam Mellinger for stopping by. We'll be back on Wednesday for another SportsBeat KC, where we talk sports in Kansas City every day.